Hello, hello. Waiting on our guest to join. All right. Let's see if we can get our guest to join here. Maybe unable to join. Let's try this. Let's go this way. There we go. That worked.
What's up, man?
How are you?
I'm doing good. Another day, another dollar. How are you?
Yeah, same. Same. Chipping away at it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Keep,
can't believe it's already March.
just keeping my head above water.
Literally.
But no, everything's going good today. I did get a couple questions. I don't know if there were any on your end. Um,
Got a few.
for those of you guys that are jumping on now, Matt and I, we can definitely take questions too in the chat. Anything Pure Factor related, we'll be glad to give our best shot at answering it as thoroughly as possible. And we had some questions submitted ahead of time, so we just kind of wanted to have a general discussion there about some products and different things. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to like fire right into the questions we got or if there's anything you kind of wanted to just like lay out in terms of Pure Factor, but I guess for anyone who's relatively new, just to kind of give you guys some insight, we've been open now for I think this week is officially 1 year of when we actually have products in hand, being open to the public, and Austin and I have talked a lot about supplements in the past. And once we got things really off the ground, I shared with him my favorite products that I knew that he would really like, and I shared it with quite a few other coaches, kind of in our realm of the community, some FDNPs and some other functional coaches, and you happen to just be in prep, so like you actually benefited
Yeah.
from the supplements in real time,
Yeah.
and not that you needed to be sold, but that certainly helped that you could actually utilize them and feel the benefits in real time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we just got,
I think it was Heal Factor specifically. I looked at the ingredient profile and I thought, well, this is this looks a lot like something that I would suggest or I would use and it's all here, right?
yeah, yeah,
And so I had tried. I think I started with that product and a couple other things as well, and the rest was history, right?
yeah.
Then yeah. So I came back to Mac because he and I and had talked about doing some collaborative stuff, and then we had a meeting between all of us, Matt, myself, and Patrick, the other owner of the company, and and we were off to the races from there. Once we got everything figured out, now we are now we're just now we have a lot of ideas. now we're
Yeah,
almost like we're almost maybe overflowing with ideas at
yeah,
this point.
yeah. Yeah, it's three excited guys who've like kind of been itching for an opportunity of like amazing products. And as a lot of you can imagine, when you're this passionate and you're this involved, every day in programming these things, you think to yourself a lot like, why hasn't someone just fucking done this? Like, why hasn't someone just put all these things together and stuff like that? And so to actually be able to do that, it brings another level of excitement. And it's kind of like I said this to Patrick the other day. Um, he's almost like the older, wiser one, and like keeps us at bay because we would just like fire off endless products and spend every dollar we have just making new creations. And he's just like, all right, guys, well, let's just keep this in mind. It looks good, you know. Let's think about the timelines and stuff. Um,
It's funny.
but yeah, I mean, I love all the new ideas we have coming about.
There,
Um,
did you ever? This is funny. It's kind of like a little bit of a side note, but did you? There was a website. Now I don't know that it exists anymore, and I wish I could think of the name because if anyone's been around a long time, they probably remember. You could go in and design your own stuff, and they would actually make it drop ship to you. So it
No,
wasn't.
I've
So you
never
could.
experienced that.
They had, and I don't know, and I don't know if they were like a manufacturer. It was all
Yeah,
capsule product, all
yeah.
capsule products, but I don't know if it was a manufacturer or what it was, but you could basically go in as long as they had it on their ingredient list, you could put it in there up to like a certain amount of capsules and they would give you a price on the product and you could just order it and you could keep ordering it every month, one bottle at a time,
That's
you know,
crazy.
whatever you wanted. So and the reason I brought that up is because formulating for a supplement company is like sort of like that,
Yeah,
except except the things that a lot of people don't realize, like accessibility to ingredients and cost and practicality of things. And that's where it does take a lot of work to make a product just the way that you want it without anything else kind of getting in the way, in a sense.
yeah, yeah. It's never as simple as it seems, you know.
Right.
Even with how unregulated the supplement industry is, there's still a lot of FDA regulations and still a lot of things to abide by, and that can create difficulty with sourcing certain ingredients and stuff like that. But then also, just like you said, you know, the prices of raw materials and like the expiration date. You can have a cool product, but if you're not selling thousands of them, you're just sitting on expired materials, you know. So
Right.
there's a lot of different factors that go into deciding when and how to pull the trigger on a product that a lot of people don't realize unless they're actually in the trenches doing it.
Right.
um and that's kind of something we're running into now. Like, we have all these cool ideas. Some of them are moving forward immediately, some of them we're still trying to source ingredients, you know.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show how special they are if the
Yeah.
sourcing is that different, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the stuff, the trademarked ingredients and some of the specific things, um, especially trying to get it all in one place or without having 10 different hands in the pot where we're having to have everything brought into one place. Like it just gets, you start, I mean, like anything else, you start adding a bunch of middlemen into a process
Yeah,
and the cost for us and cost for consumer ends up getting out of hand.
yeah,
It's like as much as we'd like to make it, people also don't want a $90 product sometimes, you know. It's
right.
just how it is.
And that's the thing, you know. That's why it really is finding a balance of like the clinically dosed highest grade ingredients for a point that's considered reasonable. And you know, I think we do a really good job of finding that balance, but it is hard. And, you know, for people who really go after like the clinically dosed high grade products, you know, another good one is like a pro subs, you know, that's very popular in the bodybuilding world because they know that the quality is there and they're willing to pay $90 for a multivitamin stack, basically, you know. Because, but it's
Right.
all like that good, you know, like you really can justify it.
Yeah.
Um, but that's always going to be our thing, is finding that balance of the best possible product to get the job done, and a price point that doesn't, make it impossible for some people to get,
Yeah.
you know?
And luckily, you and I have a lot of with your side with HRT patients and things like that, or I just say clinic patients. I mean, they're not all HRT. It can be a number of things, and all the coaches and stuff that I get to communicate with my own clients. Obviously, it's cool to see things in real time. When we first started, and I'd implemented a few things, made some suggestions of some of the coaches I was working with and stuff. And a couple of them actually, they had come back because we would meet like, every 2 weeks or something like that. And they're like, my client responded like that worked exactly how we had planned on it working. And I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
So to see
Yeah.
that's great, to see that and hear that feedback. That's awesome. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit more, it's like getting reviews on a website or something like that. It's great, but like these people that are really highly invested in you and they're really pumped about the products is even cooler, I think.
Oh,
So
totally. Yeah. And to see it working in real time, we've worked in an industry where almost anything you take can be fake. The drugs, the supplements, they're
sure.
lying about everything, So
Yeah.
we're kind of in this industry where we like don't trust anything 100%, but
Right.
to have like our actual hands in it and to see the data and the actual data on paper and the anecdotal results of clients, like it's just so awesome, man.
Yeah.
And to just know that we're making badass fucking
Yeah.
products.
It's awesome. It's worth the work for sure.
Yeah.
And you guys buckle up because we've got we've got a lot of stuff in the works for sure.
Well, and that's the thing, and I really do think that this is. I'm not trying to sound biased or overhype us, but I really don't know of other companies that do this. We're not just formulating new products. We're like going back to the drawing board and
Yeah.
reformulating all the old products to make them
Yeah.
better, and we're doing it all like simultaneously, not like, okay, we'll do this in a year. We're like doing it now because we
Yeah.
want the best products right now. And you can even like look back in hindsight and say, damn it, I should have put an extra 100 milligrams of this in there. It's like next round we're going to change it. Like I can't tell you how the label company probably shakes their head because we just have adapted our products so many times already.
They yeah, it's well because I think every time we end up coming up with something new, it makes you reflect on what we already have and also trying to make things synergistic without too much overlap in products. So if you don't having a product that's all in one is great, but you also want to make it focused enough where there's not a bunch of stuff in there that people might not want, right? Because then it's limited as to who might buy it.
Right.
So it's like if you just took a health product and you threw in everything into one, 50% of it might not actually be applicable to somebody. And then, so finding that balance between making products really thorough, but also very broad spectrum
Yeah.
for people to use
Yeah.
can be kind of difficult. And you make something and you're like, oh shit, I should actually take that and put it back into this other product. And then,
Yeah.
so not only do we have three, four, five, six things, kind of waiting. We also have probably half of the current products or more that are getting upgraded. So, and we're not downgrading. We're
Yeah.
not cutting stuff out.
Definitely
We're
not.
not like, we're like, hey, we have 300 milligrams left in this capsule
Yeah.
that we can fill.
Yeah.
Like, where can we make this product better? And I really don't think a lot of companies are doing that I'm aware
No,
of.
I think from a supplement owner standpoint, we're probably terrible businessmen because we're
So
so
far.
focused on making. great products versus maximizing profits. I bet a lot of people would look at our business model and say that we're crazy. Um, but yeah, no, we're just constantly passionate about making a great product, and everything else we just kind of make fall into place in terms of price points, demand, and everything else. And the thing we've both learned is you have a good moral compass, you make great products, you don't bullshit people, and you don't overcharge them, and the business sells itself.
Yeah.
It's not like we're not going to extreme lengths to get new customers. The products sell themselves.
Yeah.
um did you end up getting a good amount of questions on your end?
I put up my question box this morning. I had a couple, and they're definitely ones I think we should be able to answer pretty well. So we can maybe jump into those if you want. And
Yeah,
if you
fine.
guys, anyone, if you like I said, if you want to drop a question in the chat, you can also, or in the little question box. The first one is explain digest factor and GI factor a little bit. How do they, how do they differ, and can they be used in synergy with each other? So, because I guess if you see the name GI factor and digest factor, you think, well, it's kind of a,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like what's going on, right? So, um, man, I I would say that the GI factor is it's going to be a lot more based around overall GI health in terms of populating commensal bacteria. So maybe like people that have had poor food variety or ran antimicrobials or antibiotics or anything like that. Anyone that might be kind of lacking in that food diverse or in that like microbial diversity with the core biome in there, but it also has a lot of the broad spectrum healers and soothers that most people, that nearly everybody takes when they start looking at GI, like right, like zinc carnosine, for example,
yeah,
aloe, several others, DGL, things like that. So that's one that is really applicable to probably just about anybody that's has inflammatory bowel disease or has you know poor commensal bacteria, or bodybuilders who eat the same five foods all the time
yeah,
for
yeah,
10 years.
yeah.
Um, and I would say that, and let you chime in on this too, I would say that digest factor is more so dealing with mealtime digestion. We're looking at like digestive enzymes and bile flow and things of that nature.
Exactly. Yeah. I would say digest factor is focused around digestive function and performance, motility, actually breaking down and absorbing nutrients, and also, clearing out waste. Um, Whereas, like you said, GI factor is more of like all encompassing anti-inflammatory microbiome support. And we're even looking at upgrading that to a level 2 in the near future.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, GI factor is is great if you feel that you might have some minor bloating, inflammation, leaky gut. You've maybe done some things that would cause leaky gut, like you said, competitors and stuff like that. I could also argue that it could be utilized from a preventionary standpoint, to protect against damage to the gut. um, but yeah, the main difference with digest factor is it's ideally designed to be taken with meals, and to actually support nutrient absorption and breakdown of protein, carbs, and fats, and improving bowel movement regularity.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the difference there between the two. I would say, if your symptoms are reflux related or immediately post meal related, burping, bloating, that type of stuff, digest factors probably the way to go first. And the cool thing about this product, I have a feeling you do the same thing. I don't think we've actually talked about this, but I try to microdose almost every supplement,
Yeah.
So like digest factors 3 capsules in a serving, but that's a pretty high dose when you look at the ingredients. So I start as low as 1 or 2 capsules per meal, see how we do, and then decide if we need to go from there.
Yeah, a lot of the time I'll do one per meal, spread it throughout the day as a good baseline. And then if if we have like some meals that are a little bit larger or something like that, we could maybe go up in those meals specifically. Or yeah, I mean, it's pretty dynamic and there's a lot of ways you could use it.
Yeah.
Um, I think GI Factor is great. Like I said, I think it's a great supplement for most bodybuilders that are stubborn with food selection. I've actually had good success with it, and even in like off-season calorie surplus situations too, where one of the things that happens with a lot of people is they start getting rid of the fruits and vegetables and stuff because
Make it.
food volume, right? They're
Yeah.
like, we got to find room for the rice to get in the belly. It's like there's not a lot of room left. So those things that facilitate, the things that facilitate a balance of commensal or good bacteria, like having butyrate sources and like having polyphenols and all that stuff, that kind of get pushed by the wayside. So you end up with some dysbiosis for that reason, right? Or
Yeah.
yeah, or it's and I've had good success with people that are um maybe maybe needing to repopulate bacteria, but they've been perhaps like their calories aren't that high, or we're in the process of building calories or something like that, where you can kind of initiate that process, like especially with that core biome and then some of the other stuff we're talking about adding in
Yeah.
there without that's like in addition to food. So even if there's not quite enough food there to support that process, you have a supplement that'll do it,
Right.
right? That'll, so um man, I've been using both, but GI Factor I've been using in the in my growth phase, and I can say that I can say that my digestion has certainly been, well, what's the word I would use? I would say that my my transit time between meals is a little bit better as far as not being full as long, which probably is more digest factor related than anything.
Yeah.
But also I noticed like my skin and some of those like inflammatory immune type reactions that you tend to get when you're trying to pound down food are a
Yeah.
lot less, right?
Wow.
So
That's
they're a
cool.
lot less. I'm somebody that struggles a little bit with, and a lot of the male bodybuilders do. They struggle a little more with like the IBD, inflammatory bowel type stuff, just because of the amount of food that you have to put down.
Yeah.
So mine has been way better. Knock on wood, so far.
Great, man.
Yeah. Um, I had I had a question about. So this would be pertaining to glucose factor, the bioavailability difference from berberine to dihydroberberine.
I'm pretty sure
Because
it's 5 times.
yeah, I looked it up. I actually looked it up, and because I wanted to see if I could find an exact answer. The one study that I saw, the one that kept coming up the most, was citing something like the dose was 500 milligrams of berberine HCl, so like the regular old, berberine, and then 100, it was 1 or 200 milligrams of dihydro, so significantly less, and the serum or the blood level was like 5 to 8 times higher depending on the participant, with
Wow.
like less than half the dose.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so
Significant.
less stomach upset too, like less potential for some of
Yeah.
the stomach upset that
Yeah.
people, because
Yeah.
berberine, that's always been my hesitation with people with berberine, is using berberine, like high doses of berberine for like months and months and months and months, as has that antimicrobial effect. So I was always kind of worried about,
Yeah.
man, I don't know if I want to have people using 1,000 milligrams of berberine for years on end,
Right.
and, kind of like wipe out,
Yeah.
like wipe out some of their bacteria. And it's the dihydro seems to be a lot less problematic with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like glucose factor a lot. I feel, I mean, GDAs are one of those products where it's like you can only do so much with a
Yeah.
GDA, there's ingredients that work and everyone kind of knows which ones work. But I definitely got to give Patrick credit. He was the one who wanted, who pushed for the dihydroberberine. And, at the dose we have, it's definitely, I've seen great results with people in terms of blood sugar management and stuff like that. And it's certainly a good over the counter substitute for something like metformin.
Mhm.
Um, I saw someone commented that they used heel factor before a dental procedure. I actually did that similarly. I had to have a tooth pulled a few months back, completely skipped the meds, antibiotics, everything, because I wasn't about to fuck up my gut again. And I just did like 3 rounds of heel factor throughout the day, and I was good, man.
Yeah.
That it's a really impressive product for pain. And she even brought up for menstrual cramps too, and I think that's a big thing. Migraines and menstrual cramps. If you can avoid using the NSAIDs and the Tylenol, that's going to be much better for your gut too. We talk about gut supplements, but also, I mean, Heal Factor has actually got some great ingredients for the gut between the curcumin and the PEA. Um, um, and I'm sure some of the other ingredients probably just haven't, there's not direct research, but I'm sure they all have some benefits there for
Yeah.
inflammation.
Yeah. You know, because if you think about it, with the most common issues we probably see, and I'm sure you guys see come into the clinic, are gut, autoimmunity. They're all immune system and inflammatory related at their core, right? Every single one of
Yeah,
them. So, something that I've been really adamant about, especially in the last couple of years, is like, man, these are systems that we need to support as a baseline for these problems rather than just attacking like the overgrowth of bacteria, which you may need to do, right? Like that may be something you have to do, but you have to support these systems. And I notice like people having less die-off symptoms with when they do use antimicrobials and things like that, because
totally.
the immune system isn't so freaked
Right.
out, right? It's not so taxed already, so they're like not feeling super nauseous and sick and stuff all the time. So that's been cool. The autoimmunity, seeing people's skin look
Totally.
better. And so you can't, it's one of those things where it's almost like a base. I would say probably if you were going to go on the website and you wanted like a protective preventative maintenance supplement, it pretty much applies to everybody.
Yeah.
That product
Yeah.
specifically.
100%. I mean, because at the end of the day, inflammation is the silent killer. When we look at all major disease and dysfunction, there's an inflammatory component there. Um, and to your point, inflammation is one of those main immune system hindrances. And so if you can work down inflammation on the front end and support that immune system, you may or may not have to do a vigorous eradication phase, but like you said, it'll be way smoother if you have a strong supported immune system that can help fight off all that bacteria. People kind of forget that like your own immune system fights bacteria, your own liver detoxes. Like your body does these things on their own. We're just trying to support it because it's having trouble, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, the like the commensal bacteria and immune system, it's all what you would call kind of your host defense system. So you get, because you'll get a lot of these cases with like GI maps, for example, where you'll get kind of like maybe some low commensal bacteria, and you have one overgrowth, like streptococcus or something, the ones that pop up on
Yeah.
everybody, streptococcus, staphylococcus, stuff like that. It's like
Yeah.
almost 95% of the time.
And they're like,
And
do I have strep?
right. Well, it's kind of like, okay, well, let's think about it. What other symptoms are going on? Maybe all we need to do is support the commensal bacteria in the immune system, and your body kind of sorts that out on its own. You don't, like you said, you don't always require the harsher, I'm not going to say harsher, the more intensive eradication, because then when you do that, you have other things to consider, right? The repopulation, and what else are you killing off while you're in there and stuff. So, it can be pretty helpful. Someone had asked which supplements. We're talking about Pure Factor Formulations if you're just joining in. Um, so that look us up, purefactorformulations.com.
Um, if you want to go back and forth, I got a question, and we kind of already
Yeah.
covered this. As functional practitioners yourselves, what are your favorite things about having your own supplement line that you can use with clients? So we were going just talking about that. I mean, I would say for me, faith and not and trust in the product, knowing it's going to do exactly what I want it to do.
That I think that's great. And I think also what we said at the beginning is we have the ability to make products. So as long as it's accessible and we can make it, we can actually, we can kind of look at our own clients, and or in my case, like some of the coaches and stuff, and we have the ability to like figure out what the consumers really need and because there's a lot of gaps out there.
Little
I think
boy.
that there's been some companies trying to figure that out and trying to fill it in, but there's still a lot of gaps in terms of in terms of these products. And so hopefully getting to the point where we're not having to go to 15 different companies to kind of get the stuff that we want. That's what we're really working on, and I think we're going to get there for
Yeah,
sure.
100%.
So
What's another
yeah,
question you got?
I only had those.
Oh,
That's all that I
okay.
had. Yeah, just this couple.
Someone asked when will Snooze Factor be launched? So we've actually been testing out some flavors. And in the process of testing out flavors, it kind of brought us back to the drawing board. So we're now waiting for the new formula and flavors to come. And we're hopefully going to be launching that one soon because that one's been, a game plan for us for a while. That is our first flavored product, so it's important to us that it actually tastes good, because we want to, come out the gate with a banger in that category. Flavored supplements are a very different ballgame than encapsulated supplements, and so it definitely takes a good bit longer, especially when you're adamant about making good products, not just good tasting, but it actually has, clinically dosed high grade ingredients as well. Um, Somebody else asked, what is at your and I's dream products for the company?
Dream products. Oh man, I don't know. I think we're kind of working on them right now.
I think
I
we
think we've
have
got some stuff.
some that works.
I think
Yeah.
we have some stuff in the works that we're pretty excited about. That's actually, like you said with the GDA supplements, it's you can only be so unique, but we have a couple things that I think actually are unique,
Yeah.
quite unique,
Yeah.
that you probably or you definitely won't be able to find anywhere.
Right.
I mean, we looked. We have actually on a couple of these, like we're like, yeah, no, nobody has this.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
this doesn't actually even exist anywhere unless you're going out and sourcing a bunch of stuff and putting it together. So
Yeah.
some more stuff in like the gut and immune system realm, specifically inflammation realm. There's some things coming there. Maybe
Yep.
even in dipping dipping into the cognitive function realm a bit more. That's a that's been a market that's pretty exciting because people are figuring out how to be more productive and manipulate mood
Yeah.
and all those things. So some stuff
Yeah,
there
and
as well.
and get off stop relying so much on big pharma in
Yeah.
terms of their mental health and their mood, you know. Um, so yeah, no, there's some exciting things in the works like right now for sure. Um, I definitely think both Austin and I, with our passions around gut health, have a lot of long term goals for products too. And again, it just comes down to sourcing materials in the right times. But I mean, yeah, if I had to throw anything out there, I'd say, antimicrobial, antiviral type of products when we get down that type of rabbit hole of functional products. But we're also excited to integrate more sports nutrition.
Mhm.
Most of our products so far kind of like dip their toes in that middle ground of being fitness and functional health oriented, but a few products that are coming on the way soon are going to be very much, sports nutrition related. And I think those are going to be exciting for people.
Yeah.
One person did ask if we had intentions of a pre workout or protein powder. Um, so a pre workout is definitely something in the wheelhouse in the upcoming future. Protein powders, I don't really know about. Personally, I don't have much of a passion for like making a protein powder. I don't know about you, Austin. I haven't even dove into that world. I know Patrick knows it a good bit, but I can only imagine what trying to source those quality ingredients and stuff is like,
Yeah.
and making it taste good.
Yeah. The pre-workout products, and again, that's kind of one of those. I mean, that's kind of one of those where it's like, has everything already been done that you can do? Is it already exist? And so figuring out, just figuring out
My phone's
how
ringing.
to how to make things work synergistically, maybe a little bit better. There definitely are some newer ingredients that aren't very prevalent in the industry. It's not that they don't exist necessarily. It's just that when you start digging into like some of these trademarked ingredients and things, there is some stuff out there that you maybe haven't seen before that we're looking at. So I think the pre-workout will be fun. Being protein powder, I don't know. I mean, what can you do with that? It's like,
Right,
well, like have a quality way isolate.
right,
Maybe it's not high on the list. Like we have a lot of other stuff that's way more important at
totally.
the right now at least.
Yeah, and the thing about pre-workouts, to your point, it's like there's always this big focus around like do people feel it? But I don't know why my camera's not
Yeah,
doing this.
there you go.
It's not just about people feeling it. Does it actually benefit you? Like, does it actually improve performance and assist in hypertrophy? That's the point, not just whether or not they feel it. Now, of course, you should feel pre-workout. That's kind of the point. So, like, you got to find that happy medium again, you know?
Yeah, not being I I don't know about you. I think the days of like the people wanting just the extreme stem based pre workouts has kind of fallen off a little bit. Those products are out there. I mean, if that's your thing, you
Right,
can find it. It exists. Most of that stuff has designer stimulants and stuff that eventually get banned anyhow. A
right.
lot of the time, they, there's I can't even tell you how many designer stimulants have probably got taken off the market, and I'm sure there's a lot more floating around. So if that's your thing, that's cool. But like Matt said, having stuff that actually increases performance and hypertrophy, potentials is more important to us. at the end of the day. Like, what are the things that actually help you train more effectively? Because, I mean, anyone can get tweaked out. That doesn't necessarily mean, and if, I would say, if anything, we're probably trying, a lot of the people that we work with, we're probably trying to kind of stay away from that stuff
Right.
for the most part, because
We
everyone's
need
so damn
hypocrites making a
stressed,
high strength
right? Yeah, you're not, well,
600 caffeine.
yeah, you're not gonna see us making a product with 500 milligrams of caffeine and like four different, you know, CNS stimulants in it. That's just,
Right.
that would be kind of counterproductive.
I mean, I guess if we fucked them up, we could also fix them. If we wanted to take a page out of Big Pharma's book.
Oh yeah, someone else said it here. I know you guys already touched on it, touched on heel factor, but I used it after a bad horse accident in place of pain meds, and it worked great.
Heel
That's sweet.
factor's the shit.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, probably my favorite so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, honestly, someone actually asked favorite products for both of us. I would say Heal Factor is up there. Detox Factor or Heal Factor for me are probably faves. And
Yeah,
don't get me
I
wrong, Chill Factor is great, but I kind of got my stress under control a while ago, so I don't leverage that one quite as much these days.
yeah, and I always try to I always try to be honest with people. I mean, those types of products are those types of products, I guess, like anything else, are very situational. It's not that they're beneficial, but in an ideal world, you know, something like a heel factor, you could use all the time, right? And but you may not want to just have to rely on chill factor to be the only thing that keeps you from losing your mind every day, right?
Yeah,
You know, I won't hold it against you,
right.
but at the same time, you know,
Yeah,
we also are preaching, you know, preaching good habits as well. So hopefully that doesn't become too much of a crutch.
yeah.
Uh, uh,
Somebody asked, do you guys formulate products all together typically, or do you focus on subsets of products? And I would say it kind of depends. You know, I think in the recent months with you coming on, it was more so just like a few different ideas that we wanted to get out there. And I think for you and I, it's just easy because you said it earlier. We see the voids, we see the demand. We actually have a demand. Like we've talked about products we're trying to formulate now, where it's like, damn, I could have used this in a program today that I just wrote. You know, um,
yeah,
so I wouldn't say that it's typically we're at a place of doing subsets yet. I think as we grow, we might be able to categorize things more to where we say, okay, let's work on, you know, another functional product or another sports nutrition product. But right now, it's just kind of going through the a needs analysis of what our communities are telling us and measuring that with sourcing, pricing, availability, and timelines, and just trying to get things out when we can.
yeah,
Um, so, yeah, I mean, we're just eager to make great products. There's not much strategy right now.
yeah. I'll say the thing that I like is with with our dynamic, not only that we all bring certain, you know, certain strengths, but it's really kind of a no ego thing where if someone throws something out or comes up with a product, we're pretty open minded about it. You know, no one's trying to shut anyone else out with that. So it's like, hey, if you've got a good idea, let's
Yeah,
hear it, right?
yeah,
If you've
yeah,
got a good idea, let's hear it. I mean, we all probably like Patrick has a lot of experience in retail and sports nutrition and stuff. And so, hey, let's get the insights on that. Or maybe that's a question to ask Patrick, or maybe that's a question to ask Matt or myself. But we're definitely open minded in terms of any good idea is welcome. So,
Yeah, it's
you
on the
know,
table. Yeah, and I think that's what's why we've worked so well together since the first time we all talked. Like, we can just speak very openly and freely, and we all bring our own strengths to the table. So it's very like, this is a question for Patrick. This is a question for Austin. Or if our manufacturer comes back to us and says, I can't source this, but I can source this, maybe we all need to talk about that, and what are the pros and cons of that variation of that ingredient. We ran into that recently with one of the cognitive products we're trying to develop. So yeah, I mean, I think you're in my experience kind of in the trenches with our functional clients and bodybuilders. Patrick's experience with the retail side, but also manufacturing and all that. Um, it just brings everything together to make it super smooth.
yeah, I agree. we didn't we didn't assign roles.
Right.
we have they just definitely we definitely kind of have roles, but it maybe happened a little more organically.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just making shit happen. That's
Yep.
the role. That's everyone's role. If you ask us like, what's on our fucking to-do list, make shit happen.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. Cool. Awesome. Did we have anything else on your end there?
That was basically it. Oh, one more. Does a Modin stack well with chill factor? Can it be overkill? So I would say hard yes on it can be.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. With like with a modin especially, that's something where if you're using something that could really suppress cortisol, you probably should at least have some testing prior, like kind of know where you're at. That's something where if you do, I mean, you can end up with some side effects
Yeah,
potentially
yeah,
with that product. Not only like making you just feel worse, but also like some of the loose stool and digestive issues and things that can come along with it. But I would say really with any of the products that on in any brand that really heavily manipulate cortisol, you don't want to kind of arbitrarily toss that stuff in necessarily.
yeah,
Have some kind of data. Like now with some of the other cognitive stuff that we're working on, or like Genius Factor, something like that, sure, that could be applicable across the board to anyone,
yeah.
but that's not necessarily manipulating your circadian rhythm or
Right,
cortisol levels per se.
right.
Um, but
And
yeah,
if you need two different products to reduce your cortisol, you probably got some work to do in other
yeah,
departments.
yeah, man. I mean, I know personally, if I've definitely seen a lot of cases where people are like, yeah, I'm taking this with, you know, you could use those two products. Like this has high dose of phosphatidylserine and the Modin and this, and then they come back and their fasting cortisol is like a 5. I'm like, yeah, stop.
It worked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it crashed you out. But that's not the point. That's not
Right.
what you want to do. So, but cool. Awesome. Well, man, that was
I know you
great. I
had,
think that we should definitely come back,
yeah,
do another
absolutely.
once we get
Yeah, I know you
more
had a good
product
meeting to
rolling.
do too. Yeah, why don't we plan another one once we get a little bit more insight on some of these new products? I think in the next week we're gonna know when some new things are dropping.
Yeah, figuring
So
out the
that's a good one.
timeline on those. Excellent. Cool, guys. Well, I'll repost this too. So if anyone wants to go back, if you joined late and you want to rewatch, feel free.
All right,
Awesome.
my man. Well, you have a good night. I'll talk to you later, brother.
You too, brother. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye bye.